This week's episode of the Peter Montgomery Show is proudly brought to you by Savvy SME. Simply smarter, simply social, the social network for Australian business owners. Well, g'day, Angela. Welcome to the show.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
So, Angela, we've come across each other's paths through mutual clients that we have. And so I've worked for some turf breeders and wholesale nurseries and do some video work with them. And in doing that, I was sort of introduced to what you've got going on at Home Design Directory. So could you just tell us who are your ideal clients that the website's been set up for, and then we'll dig back and get your whole story of how it all came about. So yeah, who are your clients that you're working with?
Yeah, look, I think it's a great way to start, and kind of the way we also thought that the Home Design Directory might be a success is that we were contacted when Angela Elliss Design had a very small website and had one particular article about construction, and we had a couple of builders, large building companies, calling us saying, look, can we actually promote on this construction cost calculator? And we said, look, we're not set up to do that yet. So a lot of our advertisers are now large building companies. You've got bathroom companies that sell, bathroom fittings, tap fittings, and you've got kitchen companies, interior designers, architects, building designers. They're probably the most popular advertisers we have at the moment. One of our largest advertisers is a national building company. They promote on various pages of ours now.
Okay, and so let's dig back now and get your story, how you started this up. To see what I'm really interested in with what you've done is in looking at it and working with you guys to sort of get out content on there and all that sort of stuff. I really noticed just the depth of what you've created and how comprehensive the website is that to help your industry. It's like it's heavily based around content. So could we go back to how you started, what industry you were in before that even happened, and slowly we'll work our way up to what you got now.
Yeah, look, it's really interesting because it really started from my own practice. I'm actually I have an architecture degree, so I design residential buildings, whether they're single dwelling homes and multi-unit developments. And I still do a little bit of that because it's fun. But what happened is that years ago, people used to say, look, how much is my building going to cost? Or what's the process now of going through council? What am I up for? Where am I heading? So we started writing a slew of these articles that helped inform people so that when they engaged an architect or a building designer, they were already well armed with what to expect. From angelaellisdesign.com.au, where these articles originally held, we found that we were getting a lot of traffic on a couple of them, in particular this thing called Construction Cost Calculator, which is basically, it's a really easy tool where people can go in and work out how much their home's going to cost. That is now the most popular article on Home Design Directory, and it's what propelled us to start Home Design Directory. We thought, gosh, if we're getting this much traffic, just with one article, can you imagine if we did a whole heap more? This is going to be really attractive to some big company out there in the future. So we thought, okay, let's give it a go. So that happened about 6 years ago. About 3 years ago, when we hit, I think, about 150,000 readers a month, we thought we've really got to start setting up proper systems and processes so that we can take on more advertisers. Because as time went by, we didn't actually have to go out there looking for advertisers. People coming to us saying, oh, I read your cement render article. Oh, I read your building process fully explained article. Can we promote on that article? So we were getting a lot of these, and we thought, we're not really set up well. Like, we had processes all over the place. Nothing was organised. So we took on a business development manager about 3 years ago. So we have an IT manager as well who looks after a team of coders, graphic designers, and we put a lot of work out for tender, whether it's overseas or locally. I look after content, and I also look after sales. So it's a big job, but when I get overwhelmed with things, I do actually have a couple of contract resources that I can contact and say, look, I've got to send out all these emails, I've got to make all these calls, can you do all these calls for this week? So just depending on what the week or the month's like, I put out work there. But Home Design Directory now sees 200,000 visitors a month, and it's really growing, and the content is so unique. I don't know whether you've ever gone onto the internet looking for information on renovation and construction. You come across all this fluff or highly technical specification information, but nothing that truly educates the person that knows nothing, and that's what we provide.
Okay, so the person that is looking for that information, like they're not necessarily, like, who are they? Who are these people? Like, are they just like mum and pups trying to get their house built? Yeah, who are they?
Yes, you have those. You have people that are renovating, professionals that are looking for technical information. Like one article that works really well for both homeowners and professionals in industry, like architects and builders and concrete polishers, is this one article called Polished Concrete Floors. Now, polished concrete flooring is just starting to hit the mainstream now. You've seen it on the block, they're using it there, and it's all very modern, but it's been going on in the architectural industry for quite some time. And this article, it talks about the process of starting with a rough floor, going through all the processes you need to go to get to this highly polished form. During that article, it explains it in such easy detail that someone that's looking to get a floor done is quite happy to read that and become informed. Then you have your industry professionals that think, oh, okay, that's the way it's done. Who do I contact? And then you've got that second layer of, what next? And it's got our advertisers around that. And then they then make the call to get them to do the work. By the way, the architects are great because, it's not just one job. It's potentially a long-term relationship with the advertisers.
Now, with content, so are you doing any other advertising at all yourself, sort of, maybe Facebook ads or, Google advertising yourself, like to bring traffic in?
Yeah, well, what we do is we have a very small Google AdWords campaign, very small. I think it's something like $20 a day.
Yep.
And basically, we only use that if we find that some of our new articles aren't getting enough traction on the top pages on search engines. Mm-hmm. So we do that. But the other ones that have been around for a while get really good traction. Lots of people looking at those articles, so we don't need to promote. 95% of our traffic is actually organic. So, we've got these plant pages, for example. Those plant pages, we don't have a Google AdWords campaign budget. We're actually not doing anything on Facebook for that at the moment. The traffic that purely gains is through the quality of the articles and the information on those plants.
Okay, well, there's two things there that I sort of want to cover. I think it's very interesting that you're doing a Google ad campaign to drive someone to an article. Like typically people want to go to a buy it now page, come and buy this thing now and rush the sale through. So you're still advertising the content in the site for people to come in and comfortably find what it is they need to find. So
people comfortably find that information and they see the advertisers around, well, the advertisers are going to be happy, and new advertisers will see that and think, oh, wow, I've found this. They mightn't necessarily have found it before. Because, of course, it takes about 6 to 8 weeks for Google, for example, to index those new pages. So it's really nice to be able to get people in early and get that article growing in popularity early.
And now the second thing I wanted to talk about there, which kind of dovetails in to kind of how we met, was I was putting together some content for one of my clients to hand over to you to put on. One thing I noticed was we'd spoken earlier that day, and so I went looking for the article, and it was right there on page 1.
Yeah.
We didn't have to. So when you said the 6 weeks thing, I was like, wow, this is really good. And then I went and dug in behind the scenes with a tool called Market Samurai to see kind of what's happening, ranking pages and links and all that sort of stuff. You got like 10,000 links coming in from all over the place, and you got it's a page 4 rank. It's a really well ranking website. So I mean, that's a really good thing, that if someone puts an article on, they're going to get really fast rankings for that article. And in that article, do people get to put links on? Well, I know they do, but yeah. How does that work?
Well, they do. They get to have a couple of direct links to their website. They get to have some banner advertising and company information down the bottom of the articles. We also have directory listing, which is another form that people can promote on our website. But you mentioned about Google ranking. Like our homepage, yes, it has a Google page rank of 4, but like we have like hundreds, possibly thousands of articles. Well, actually, we have definitely thousands of actual web pages, whether it be about a plant or an article about polished concrete. And all these pages actually have Google ranks as well. I think we have actually over 100 pages that have Google rankings of 3.
Yeah.
And, oh, yeah. So, like, we have a hell of a lot of pages, and we sell that as part of our advertising, is that you can be found on these pages that have really good page ranks. And they're given good page ranks, obviously, because they've got just great content in them.
Now let's talk about where the content comes from, because I know a little bit about what we were doing, but it's in looking at some of the articles that are on there as well, just to kind of see where our stuff was sitting. And I noticed like some of them are like quite lengthy, very informative articles, and that's great. Like I think there's so much content, so much information.
It is.
These guys are putting a lot of.
If we could break those up a little bit.
Yeah, but these guys are putting a lot of work in. So sorry. These guys are putting a lot of work in to these articles, and these are professionals. These aren't just, hey, quick, let's get some articles for SEO. These are industry papers almost, some of these things.
Yeah, look, they are, and I suppose that's why I talked about the fluff articles before. Like, fluff articles are lovely when you just want a little bit of light information, but when you're looking to really know in depth about something like, how to do your own DIY fence in the backyard, you want real information. And the articles that we have, some of them are long, and we've been thinking of breaking them up into a couple of pages, which is great for the website. But, it has things like, dig, the whole, 400 by 400 millimetres and this much deep. Don't make it any higher than 1800 high, otherwise it's not going to comply with your local council standards and all that kind of stuff. So it really gets into the nitty-gritty of doing a job, not just keep it light and airy and, You hear that a lot in articles.
Yeah. And so these articles, how does it work if you want to contribute articles to the website and get those links? Like what's the kind of the process there?
Yeah, look, the process of us getting content, I do still write a few articles, but I'm more of the person that goes through and not rips them to shreds, but I add content as well as maybe take out a few things that might sound a little novice. A lot of the articles that we do get, very few are ready to go because we get contacted by a lot of freelance writers, and we do put some of those on, but before we do, we load them up with content. So they act as a scaffold for the one that will finally get actually published. And then we have people in the industry writing articles that will get complimentary promotion. But if we take those on board and they're written by a so-called professional, we want them ready to go because I think a lot of people out there know that getting good quality content together is extremely time consuming. That's why a lot of people go with freelancers, because they think, get the freelance article, quickly edit it, bung it on the internet. But the reality is that kind of traction of readers that you get to the fluff articles does not compare to the amount of traction you get on a professionally written one. Probably about 10 times the amount of traffic from a fluff article.
Yeah, and I guess the important thing too is it's the type of traffic that you get. So people that are reading those good professionally written, high-quality articles, well, I mean, I guess they're hanging around and continuing to read and clicking on the links and finding out more information because they really are searching. Right.
Yeah, look, we have a lot of people that that read that are looking at going into that DIY building process. And they want to be fully armed before they start actually contacting the trades. The great thing is we've got this article called The Building Process Fully Explained, and it explains the person starting out from nowhere knowing nothing. This is what you need to do. This is the start point. This is what happens at each stage of your build. So these people feel well armed. So it's not they're going to go and do all these things themselves like DIY tiling and doing your own kitchen, but they have such a good understanding that when they start having to be the owner-builder on a job, for example, they know what to expect and they feel like they're armed with information and experience from people in the industry that they can make good decisions and deal with their tradespeople well.
So now, let's go back a little bit. Now, we spoke sort of the other day as well and talking about the Google changes and how that affected some of the work that you were doing. So initially you were doing it one way and then Google came in and changed the rules again. And then, you had to rearrange what you were doing. But generally, like when Google makes a change, they're after quality. So if you come to the table with that quality, then you're going to be better off anyway. So what changed for you there? What did you notice and how did you have to rearrange things?
Well, it made us become aware of one thing in particular, is that even though Google is making these changes, and we do have a good quality website, the information is truly quality. The information hasn't been created to get advertisers. It's been created to inform people. So it's come from a different angle. So even though we know we have good quality information, Google is, from what I can see, is trying to satisfy readers' minds by giving them video content and giving them up-to-date information. So what we're now doing is going through a process of making sure that our articles are added to constantly with new and informative information and stuff that's on trend. We're also starting off with videos. So all the articles that we have are going to have a video on the article as well, which will get found for by Google a lot easier than just plain content. So those two things there are not only good for people searching, but are good for us because it's what people want. And you've got to keep up with what people want. You can't stay the same. You've got to keep up to date and keep moving and changing with people's requirements.
Mm-hmm. And how important is video in your... Because everything I do is video. Like, that's my main bread and butter sort of thing.
Yep.
So coming from articles and moving into video, how important are you seeing video and how has it changed the landscape of the internet?
Well, I think it's changed the landscape of the internet quite a lot, although it's unfortunate too because even though that's what people want to see, but there's still not a lot of good quality content out there in video form. I know on Google, for example, there are some of our articles that have done quite well in the past that were downgraded to like page 3 or 4 when videos that were explaining fluff and not much were getting on page 1. And that's not right for the reader.
Okay, so they're getting ranked well, but it's about the content. But
it should be all about the content, not about what medium you actually plug it on.
And so what you're aiming to do then is combine those good quality videos that can get found with the good quality articles and really dovetailing it all in. So your article gets found because of a video, maybe.
Yes.
But it's totally tied in. So is that kind of what you're doing there?
That's spot on. That's exactly right. And the great thing is that no matter who you are, you've got two options. You've got the article that you can read, or you can just sit there and listen back. You know, some people don't want to read sometimes. A lot of people like to just sit back and be entertained. And to be able to be entertained and have really good quality information too, hey, I think that's a bonus.
So where is this heading now? So this is like 6 years into building this thing. And what I love about it is that it came through organically. I was talking to someone actually the other day, and they were talking about how some of these sites, right, these directory sites, and within this industry particularly, they were just saying it's like some of them have just built it as a cash thing, right? Hey, we can get all this content and we can get advertisers in. Like you've done this differently. It's coming through organically, and I think that really shows. And that's kind of what impressed me and got me to get you on the show in the first place. I just thought this is where it's at. This is the stuff. Is that a true statement? Because I don't know that. That's from someone in the industry talking about that.
It is. Like about 2 years ago, we took on the services of a marketing company, and they asked us, your name is Home Design Directory, but you've got all these articles. You don't really have a strong directory. And since then, we've actually built upon the directory. But it was at that time that we thought, should we go through a name change so that we're not competing with these large directories that are just looking to get revenue through and don't really care about providing information. But because we are information-based, we thought about going to another name. And we still haven't done that, but we're looking probably in the next 2 or 3 weeks, there's going to be a whole new look to the Home Design Directory, which is the new graphics of the 2 years ago, the marketing company that came through and helped us with that. So we're hoping that will probably stay the same, mainly because of that domain name change. You know, if anyone knows about changing domain names, it can be a business killer. So we really aren't in a situation to go there right now. You know, Commonwealth Bank and all these big companies that have just such a huge budget for that kind of thing, it can afford to lose some of that and build it up again. But, you know, when you're a company that's running on a shoestring that automates everything, and you know you can't risk it with a domain name change.
So Home Design Directory. So what's going to change then if you don't change the name? Are you heading more into like actually just making it more of a directory? Or because what is a directory anyway? Like if someone wants to go out and build a directory, what is that? How does that?
Well, a directory. Usually people build directories on niches. I know us and one of our competitors. They base it on the home industry. So it's all about home improvements and building and design and interior designers, plumbers, electricians, that kind of thing. The way we started with the articles, and then we thought, well, if people are reading these articles, they really need to be able to call someone after they've read the articles to find out, you know, if they can help them with their interior design job, if it's an article about interior design. So that's where the directory started. In the last 2 years, we've also built up that directory side. So we have a much larger directory. But still, it's not a huge directory. We get most of our happiest clients are advertising within our articles, because the articles get really good traffic, and it's the next step. Once they've read it, they're informed, oh yeah, I now want to go out and engage an architect or a builder. So they make the call.
Yeah. No, it sounds like it's perfect. Like I love it. I reckon it's a really awesome setup that you got there, that it's coming through the content side of things, and that's most of what you've got there. And that's
so
mostly
that's
what you're doing.
where we differ from all these big directories. They've tried to base it on directories and providing information, which is great. But we start from that side of providing information, and then, oh, here's a professional to help you. So it's just got better traction in the market than a lot of directories do.
Okay, so if people they're interested in this now, and they're thinking, like, I want to get on the directory, and maybe contribute articles or something, or get their plants listed, or whatever that they want to do. What's the address and phone number?
Okay, it's homedesigndirectory.com.au, and the phone number is 1300 763 116, and just ask for Angela, that's me, and I can help you with your articles. We always appreciate articles from professionals within the industry that are good writers. We never knock back those articles. But freelancers, look, we love the freelance articles, and if you really think you got something good, send it to us. But, they need to be of a really high standard and technical.
Excellent. Well, thanks so much for coming on the show and talking about building your whole website thing there. This is that's my love. I just love how the internet works, and I love what you're doing there. So thanks so much for sharing all that with us.
Great. Thanks a lot.